When Trevor Knight arrived at the exclusive Riverside Country Club in a polo shirt and khakis, the racist membership director blocked his entry. "This club has standards," she said coldly. "You're not the right fit." What she didn't know, Trevor wasn't there to join the club. He was there to finalize buying the entire property, and firing her was going to be his first decision as the new owner. Trevor Knight had spent the last 18 months quietly negotiating the purchase of Riverside Country Club, one of the most prestigious and exclusive golf clubs in Virginia. At 46, Trevor was a successful real estate developer who'd built his fortune acquiring underperforming properties and transforming them into profitable ventures. But Riverside wasn't struggling financially. It was struggling with something else: a reputation for being one of the last bastions of old money exclusivity, where diversity meant having members from both Connecticut and Massachusetts. The club's board, facing mounting pressure from younger members and shifting social attitudes, had reluctantly decided to sell. Trevor's offer was competitive, his financing solid, and his vision for modernizing the club while maintaining its historic charm had impressed most of the board. But there was one final step: a site visit to ensure he understood what he was buying. Trevor had deliberately scheduled the visit for a Tuesday afternoon, a time when the club would be quieter. He wanted to walk the grounds, see the facilities, and get a sense of the staff without the chaos of a weekend tournament. His lawyer had offered to accompany him, but Trevor declined. He wanted to see the club as it really was, not polished and prepared for a VIP tour. He pulled into the circular driveway at 2:30 p.m., parking his Mercedes sedan near the main entrance. The clubhouse was impressive: white columns, brick facade, manicured gardens. Old money whispered from every corner. Trevor wore a navy polo shirt, khaki pants, and loafers. Business casual. Respectful, but not formal. He wasn't trying to make a statement. He just wanted to be comfortable while walking 18 holes worth of property. He pushed through the heavy wooden doors into the reception area. Dark wood paneling. Oil paintings of past club presidents, all white men, lining the walls. A crystal chandelier hung from the vaulted ceiling. The air smelled faintly of leather and old cigars. Behind the mahogany desk sat a woman in her early 50s, blonde hair styled in a helmet of hairspray, wearing a crisp white blouse with the club's crest embroidered on the pocket. Her nameplate read Sharon Caldwell, Membership Director. She looked up from her computer, and Trevor saw it immediately. The quick scan, the momentary pause, the subtle shift in her expression from polite professionalism to guarded suspicion. "Good afternoon," Trevor said, approaching the desk with a warm smile. "I have an appointment to walk the property." Sharon's fingers hovered over her keyboard. "I'm sorry, are you here for the grounds crew interview?" "That's handled through the service entrance around back." Trevor blinked. "No?" "I'm here to tour the facilities. Trevor Knight." Sharon's eyes narrowed slightly. She clicked through her computer screen, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against the keys. "I don't see any Trevor Knight on today's schedule." "It should be there," Trevor said patiently. "My lawyer confirmed it last week with your general manager, Douglas Whitmore." "Mr. Whitmore isn't here today," Sharon replied, her tone cooling further. "And I handle all facility tours. I would know if something was scheduled." Trevor pulled out his phone and opened his email. "Here." Confirmation from his office. Tuesday, May 16th, 2:30 p.m. Sharon barely glanced at the screen. "Anyone can send an email. That doesn't mean you have legitimate business here." Trevor's smile faltered. "I'm not sure I understand." "I have a confirmed appointment." "Sir," Sharon interrupted, her voice sharp now. "Riverside Country Club is a private establishment. We have very specific membership standards, and we don't allow just anyone to walk through our doors." The words hung in the air, heavy, unmistakable. Trevor straightened slightly. "Just anyone?" "Our members expect a certain level of discretion. We can't have random people wandering the grounds. I'm sure you understand." Trevor took a slow breath. He'd dealt with this before, more times than he cared to count, but it never stopped being exhausting. I'm not random. I have a scheduled appointment to tour the property before finalizing a real estate transaction. Sharon's laugh was polite but dismissive. A real estate transaction? Here? I don't think so. This club isn't for sale. Actually, Trevor said calmly, it is. And I'm buying it. Sharon's smile turned cold. Sir, I don't know what game you're playing, but Riverside Country Club has been owned by the same founding families for over a century. We don't sell to outsiders. Things change, Trevor replied evenly. The board voted to accept my offer 3 weeks ago. I'm here to complete my due diligence before closing. Sharon stood up, crossing her arms. I'm going to need you to leave. I have a legal right to be here. My purchase agreement includes— I don't care what you think you have, Sharon snapped. This is private property, and I'm telling you to leave. If you don't, I'll call security. Trevor didn't move. He just looked at her, his expression calm, but his jaw tight. You're really going to do this? Yes. Sharon reached for the phone on her desk. Security? This is Sharon at the main desk. I need someone at reception immediately. We have a trespasser. Within a minute, 2 security guards appeared. Both white, both looking uncomfortable when they saw Trevor standing calmly at the desk, clearly not a threat. Ma'am? One guard asked uncertainly. What's the situation? Sharon pointed at Trevor. This man is refusing to leave. I need him escorted off the property. The guard looked at Trevor, then back at Sharon. Did he do something? He's trespassing. I have a confirmed appointment, Trevor said quietly, and a purchase agreement that gives me access to this property for inspection purposes. Sharon's face flushed. He's lying. Remove him. The guard hesitated. Sir, do you have any documentation? Trevor pulled out his phone again, opening the purchase agreement PDF. Here, signed by the board 3 weeks ago. I'm the buyer. This is my due diligence period. The guard leaned in, reading carefully. His eyes widened slightly. He looked at Sharon, then back at Trevor. Ma'am, he's telling the truth. This is a binding agreement. Sharon snatched the phone from Trevor's hand, her eyes scanning the document. Trevor saw the moment it hit her, the realization that she'd just tried to remove the club's future owner. Her face went pale. I didn't know. No, Trevor said, taking his phone back. You didn't. You assumed. A door behind the reception desk opened and a silver-haired man in his 60s emerged, wearing a blazer with the club crest. He looked at the scene, Sharon, the guards, Trevor, and his expression shifted from confusion to alarm. What's going on here? He asked sharply. Trevor turned. Are you Douglas Whitmore? I am. And you are? Trevor Knight. We had a 2:30 appointment. Douglas's eyes widened. Mr. Knight! Yes, of course. I apologize. I was on a call and lost track of time. He shot Sharon a sharp look. What happened? Sharon's mouth opened and closed. No words came. One of the security guards spoke up. Sir, Miss Caldwell called us to remove Mr. Knight. She said he was trespassing. Douglas's face darkened. Trespassing? He's the buyer. I didn't know, Sharon stammered. He didn't say— I told you exactly why I was here, Trevor said quietly. You decided I was lying. Douglas looked at Trevor, then at Sharon, and understanding settled over his features. He knew exactly what had happened, and he knew it was bad. Mr. Knight, Douglas said carefully, I am deeply sorry for this misunderstanding. Please, let me give you the tour personally. Trevor nodded slowly. I'd appreciate that. Douglas gestured toward the hallway. This way. As they walked away, Trevor heard Douglas hiss at Sharon. My office. 15 minutes. The tour was thorough. Douglas showed Trevor everything: the golf course, the tennis courts, the dining facilities, the event spaces. He was professional, knowledgeable, and clearly trying to salvage the situation. But Trevor's mind was elsewhere. He was thinking about Sharon's assumptions, about how quickly she'd dismissed him, about the fact that in 2023, a successful black businessman could still be mistaken for grounds crew at a club he was about to own. As they finished the tour and returned to the clubhouse, Douglas cleared his throat. Mr. Knight, about earlier. It's not the first time, Trevor said quietly, and it probably won't be the last. Douglas looked uncomfortable. Sharon has been with us for 12 years. She's always been protective of the club's image. Protective, Trevor repeated. Is that what we're calling it? Douglas didn't answer. Trevor stopped walking and turned to face him. When I buy this club, and I am buying it, things are going to change, not just diversity initiatives or sensitivity training, real change. Because what happened today? That's the culture that's been allowed to exist here for too long. Douglas nodded slowly. I understand. Do you? Trevor asked. Because Sharon didn't just make a mistake. She saw a black man in casual clothes and decided he didn't belong. She didn't check the schedule, she didn't ask questions, she just assumed. She'll be disciplined, Douglas assured him. She'll be fired, Trevor corrected. When I take ownership, she's gone. Because I can't run a club that's supposed to be inclusive when the first person guests meet makes assumptions based on skin color. Douglas opened his mouth to protest, then closed it. He knew Trevor was right. The closing took place 3 weeks later. Trevor became the official owner of Riverside Country Club on June 8, 2023. His first act as owner was to terminate Sharon Caldwell's employment. His second was to implement mandatory bias training for all staff. His third was to launch an aggressive diversity recruitment campaign, bringing in members from backgrounds that had historically been excluded. Not everyone was happy. A few longtime members resigned in protest. But for every member who left, 2 new ones joined. Younger, more diverse, eager to be part of a club that was finally entering the 21st century. 6 months after taking ownership, Trevor stood on the clubhouse balcony watching a mixed foursome tee off. 2 black men, 1 Hispanic woman, and 1 white man, all laughing and chatting easily. It was a scene that would have been unthinkable a year ago. Douglas approached, 2 glasses of iced tea in hand. He offered one to Trevor. You've changed this place. Trevor took the glass. That was the point. Some of the old guard are still grumbling, Douglas admitted, but most people see it. We're better now, more welcoming. Trevor nodded. That's what I wanted. Can I ask you something? Douglas said carefully. When Sharon blocked you at the door, why didn't you just tell her who you were immediately? Why let it play out? Trevor was quiet for a moment, watching the golfers. Because I wanted to see how she'd treat someone she thought had no power. That tells you everything you need to know about a person. Douglas considered that. And what did it tell you? That this club had a culture problem that ran deeper than I thought, and that changing it was going to require more than just good intentions. A young black girl, maybe 8 years old, ran past them toward the junior clinic area, golf club in hand. Her father, a new member, a surgeon from Richmond, waved at Trevor as they passed. Trevor waved back, smiling. This was why he'd bought the club. Not for profit, not for prestige, but for moments like this, where a little black girl could run freely through a space that had excluded people who looked like her for over 100 years. You know, Douglas said, some people are calling you a hero for what you did here. Trevor shook his head. I'm not a hero. I'm just a man who got tired of being told he didn't belong, and who decided that when he had the power to change things, he would. He took a sip of his tea, watching the sun set over the 18th hole. Besides, Sharon did me a favor. How so? She showed me exactly what needed to be fixed, and she reminded me why I was buying this place in the first place. Douglas smiled. Well, for what it's worth, I'm glad you didn't walk away. I never walk away, Trevor said. I've spent my whole life being underestimated. At some point, you learn to use that. A year after the purchase, Trevor received a letter. It was from a young black man named Marcus, a recent college graduate who'd just joined the club with his father. Mr. Knight, the letter began, I wanted to thank you for what you've done at Riverside. My dad has been trying to join a country club for 20 years. Every application was rejected. When he heard you'd bought Riverside and were opening membership to everyone, he applied immediately. Last weekend, we played our first round together as members. He cried on the 9th hole. I'd never seen my dad cry before. You didn't just buy a golf club. You gave my father something he'd been denied his whole life, the right to belong." Trevor read the letter 3 times. Then he folded it carefully and placed it in his desk drawer next to the purchase agreement and the termination letter he'd signed for Sharon Caldwell. Because that was the real victory. Not the business success, not the positive press, but the knowledge that a father and son could play golf together in a place where they were welcomed, not questioned. And it all started because one membership director made the mistake of assuming she knew who belonged and who didn't, based on nothing more than the color of someone's skin. If this story resonated with you, remember, exclusion isn't always loud. Sometimes it's quiet, polite, wrapped in words like standards and fit. But it's still exclusion, and it's still wrong. Share this story. Subscribe for more moments that challenge us to see people, not assumptions. And if you've ever been told you don't belong somewhere, know that you do. And one day, you might just own the whole damn place.